All right, everybody. I have been having a heck of a wobble on the Defiant and figured out one of my rotors is warped because she sat up for over a year, over a year. And I decided it was time to get some new ones. And since Detroit Axle always has served me well on some other pieces and parts, I decided that we would go with Detroit Axle this time, save some money, and then later on down the road we'll get the ZZ Performance package, because they do have these that they make in-house. But quality wise, okay, drilled and slotted rotors are drilled and slotted rotors. The material they use and how they mill them is about the only difference. But for my purposes, and I'm not drag racing or anything like that, I'm carrying way too much weight, theirs lasted a few years because I bought them way before I thought I did. It was like back whenever I started the project, was like one of the first things I did. So shoot, they lasted from 2017 to 2018, thereabouts. And yeah, they got ceramic with the back plate. Now they don't have the rubberized back plate, but they do send you the anti-squeal, the new hardware. These are ceramic pads, and they are low dust. I noticed right away whenever I did change the other ones that they do have low dust on them. And let's say I bought them in 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 5 years. So I've gotten 4 years service because she sat up for a year out of brake pads and rotors. And yeah, I know you can have rotors remilled and whatever, but I don't think you can on drilled and slotted. And since mine got warped, we're going to go ahead and just change them out. So let me get set up. I've already got her over here. I've got the jack under it. Got to go get a jack stand. I really don't even know if I'm gonna need that because I'm not gonna be under it, but for safety purposes I'll probably get a jack stand and just put under it just in case. The wheel nuts are already broke loose, so let me go ahead and get her up if I can. Let me make sure this is gonna stay centered up. Yeah, it's still centered up. That crossbar on these cars are so awesome. I wish that car had it, which eventually we'll get to that one, and we have to get to that one also. And look back there, we have a 240. Can y'all believe that? I need to make a video on that. There's a 91 Honda Civic 240 SX, an AE82, which still I haven't been able to find out any information about that car. I found it in Toyota's manual, like the way back manual, their archives. Yeah, there we go. That's all I need. And so there we go. So right now I have the wheel nuts broke loose. Let me get everything off of here, and we'll see the condition of that one first over there. I'm gonna do this side because this side is what's warped, and then we'll have a look and see what the brake pads actually look like. And by the way, I hope the angle of the GoPro, I did find my headband, but the actual real clip for it is broke. I need new gear for my GoPro. All right, well, let me get set up here and I'll be right back. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, here we go. I got everything set up, and pretty much all you need to do this brake job on 05 until they go to the 5 lug, it may change a little bit. Like 03s and all that had Allen wrenches. This one is sockets. So for the back of the brake caliper, which is right here, all right, you need a 15. And for the guide pins, you need a 9/16, which is very odd. All right, so we got a standard size and then a millimeter size for this particular project. And unless I get too close, I did go check the angle of the GoPro. So basically, this is all we need to do. Now, these guide pins, the lube that they provide for the anti-squeal, we're going to be putting on the guide pins. We'll pull these out when we get the caliper up and in a safe position. And then we're going to grease these up a little bit, clean them up if they need it. And I'm going to actually turn this off and go grab a rag, because that's one thing I didn't get, is get some paper towels or a rag, because you're going to need it to wipe off, you know, brake dust and what have you. Now, a good practice is if you're just changing the pads, is to get some brake cleaner, spray your rotor on both sides and wipe it down dry before you apply the new pads. Now this rotor is going to be replaced, so we're not going to worry about all that. Now the caliper here, what I would love to do, and I'm going to do it at a future time, is I'm going to take this assembly and hang it up over here someplace in the future. Just hang it up here like I did before with zip ties, clean it all down and put a fresh paint job on it, because this caliper paint is old, but it's lasted a long time. I mean, it's been on here since I bought the car. It's one of the first little mods I did was add, way back I had neon lights all up in it, like little string lights. It looked like Tron up inside my car before I ever even had a system. But I digress. Let me get back on this. So I'm gonna break these loose, okay, get the caliper off and go grab a rag and everything, and then I'm gonna cut you back on. Hey, Sprayway, what's up? I love that saying. Alrighty, we got the calipers loose. My guide pins are actually in a boot, so they should be okay, and just has a hold down pin here where they can still float. So since this is a sealed mechanism, I'm not going to worry about greasing it. I think I was thinking about that car there whenever I was talking about greasing the guide pins. Normally you would do that, but these are booted, so I don't see any cracks in the boots, nothing like that, so we're just going to leave it be. Alright, so now we're going to take off the old hardware on the actual brake mount, and then we're going to take and clean up, and this will be one of the spots in here that we actually apply a little grease before we put everything back on. And I do not have any brake cleaner. The last kit that I bought came with a can of brake cleaner, but hard times I guess, and I guess it wasn't listed on this particular set. But last time that I ordered rotors and brakes from Detroit Axle, it actually came with brake cleaner, and it was just enough, you know, to clean up little spots like this, but it's not a big deal. This isn't horrible. Just be able to brush it off like this, which is fine. So all we want to do is just get it clean. And since there are ceramic pads coming off, and these pads actually don't look that bad, all right, but I didn't explain either how the rotors got warped just sitting there. They weren't actually on the car. They were sitting up under this carport laying down randomly here, there, and yonder, and I probably used it for a brake stand to sit on. And so yeah, they got kind of beat up. But let's compare brakes and see the wear on this over a 4-year period of time. So I mean, you see here we still have plenty of brake pad left. And this is Detroit Axle also. All right, I think, I'm pretty sure it is. But as you can see right here, about half wear. All right, plenty of brake pad left, but we're going to change these out. All right, put the new ones on there. We'll grease up these ears in here, get it back assembled. And when I get back over here, should be able to just swap it out, put everything back together, and I'll show you that on your caliper piston, you don't need C-clamps or anything. If your system is working properly and your piston's working properly, just got to break the cap on the fluid reservoir, and it might take a moment, but you just take like a stick. Actually, you should be able to take your fingers, but my grip right now is not the greatest in the world. So we're gonna grab like just a little 1x, put it in there, and just wiggle it until it squeezes in. Get it back on the rotor. So let me get to that point. Let me get all this cleaned up, get the new hardware on, and we'll be back in a moment. Everybody, got the new hardware on here, and per the instructions of the little packet, and this is good grease too. So they gave us the copper type. They didn't skimp out and just give us that regular old black brake grease. These packets are for the ears of the brakes. So if you didn't know that, be sure you always look at the packs and all that. Sometimes they have little tidbits of instructions. And the main thing is to get it in the actual gap that's going to be riding on the metal down in here. Okay, and around. So be sure you go all the way around and not just on one side of the brake pad itself. And I have the old rotor I pulled off over here. Oh, that's right, I put it in my pocket. Let me just put this over here. So I wanted to have a look at this rotor to see if my suspicions were correct of it being warped, which, I mean, I know this is where it's coming from. There's no doubt in my mind because of that shimmy that I get driving. Now, it could be, very well be, my bearings, but I don't have any slack. That's one of the first things I checked whenever I took the rotor off, is my hub assembly, which I am going to change out because it's popping a code up here saying that my traction control, and here's the plug for it right here, my traction control and analog brakes aren't sending the right signal. And I believe this side is actually original, but I don't have any slack in it, and I know it's hard to tell. I don't have any roaring sounds that I can hear, and it may be because of my exhaust or whatever that I'm not hearing it. So this will be the next thing that we do, is taking this assembly apart here and changing this hub assembly, and see if those codes will go away after I do that. And that's going to be the next thing. Right now, I'm going to see if that wobble, which I'm 99% positive is the rotor warped, because it sat over there, used it for brakes, you know, jack stands and everything else. And yeah, there you go. So this is going to be the next step, pushing the piston out, and I'll do that as soon as we have a look over here at this rotor, just to see what kind of condition it's in compared to the new one. And as you can see, it's got a little record player to it, and it was rusted over, and I cleaned it off. Oh yeah, look at this backside. Yeah, you can definitely see where either the pads misgrooved because of the rust that I cleaned off of it, but that's more than likely what our problem is. And unless my eyes are not calibrated correctly, it does look like, and I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera, looking at it straight down like this, it looks like it has a bow. See what I'm, right here, it looks like it's bowed. So definitely thinking that this is warped, just from sitting out and then rusting over, being cleaned off, and then put back on the vehicle. Because if we put them up side by side like this, let me calibrate my eyes. Where's that spot that I saw? Yeah, be better just to change it out and be done. Yeah, there we go, right there. That's where I saw it. To me, it looks like that's got a bow, just ever so slight. And I do have pretty good eyes, y'all, just to let you know. I did the front end alignment, the preliminary, and it was two 1/100ths of a degree off. Whenever he put it on the machine, he was like, twist, you're done. So I'm pretty good at calibrating things. So yeah, see this one, I don't see that. And I'm talking about ever so slight. You can see it in that. This one here, I don't see it. Let me put this back down and do this one more time. Let me roll it. Hold it straight. Yeah. It seems warped to me. Yeah. We're going to change them out anyway. We got it, we're going to change it. Alright. That has served me well, but it looks like a record player. I done lost all this right here anyway. On this one, backside looks really bad to me. Alright, I've seen worse, but when it gets down to something like this and it starts to sheen over like that, the record player looking at all these grooves, time to change it. Brand new brake pads, brand new rotors. Let me get this stuff back on the car. I'll show you how to reassemble it if I can. Depending on how difficult the piston is, going to give me problems to push back in. So stay tuned for that whenever I get that set up. All right, hopefully this isn't in the way, but because I wanted to show you, this is all you really should need to push the piston in. Now, yeah, it's going to slowly come back out, But I'm going to go get my hardware and put it here. But I wanted to show you if your calipers are working properly. Watch the piston push in and that's all you need, is just a flat piece. See how it goes in? I don't know if y'all, I hope y'all can see that. But this is all you should need to get it to push level. Now, like I said, it's going to slowly ease out as you leave it here. But I'm going to go get my hardware, get it set back up, and then we'll push it back in, reassemble it, and that's it. But you should just be able to squeeze just like this. Okay, piece of stock. Use this as leverage. All right, push this in, and all you got to be is flat. It ain't got to be recessed. Now, if you feel like it needs to be recessed, this same piece could push in a little farther, but it's only going to go so far. This should just be flush. Now I should be able to just reassemble it. Now all this is relatively clean, so I'm gonna go get my hardware and we'll reassemble it. So long as the hardware cooperates with me, this should be a pretty straightforward process. Only fear that I have is dropping this in the muck, because it's the rainy season these days. So we're going to try to be careful with these brake pads and not get them all jacked up while we're putting them on there. We need that too. Okay, my bolts and everything, once again, these are sealed, so we're not going to mess with them. All right. Now, let me put these pads right here and get my bearing on how this goes back on. Okay, this goes here. Oh shit, it's upside down. Okay, here we go. This is gonna go here, like this. Just like that. Now, in theory, I should be able to just reassemble this onto here and put each pad back in its place, in theory. So that's what we're gonna do. Put this back over here. And I'm not gonna put them tight until I get everything assembled. All right, we're just gonna get all this. Are you screwing in there? No? Why? Why? Why aren't you? See, this is what I was talking about. As long as it cooperates. And it's not going, it doesn't want to cooperate. And also too, I forget, these do have a certain position they got to be in. So, because otherwise they'll sit there and they'll spin. Probably filming all fender right now. I really need to get some new, there we go, some new headgear for this. I don't know, I keep saying I'm sorry. Alright, there we go. And that's another reason I'm not going to tighten them down, because I want to make sure that these are in the right position, because they do have a certain, to where these catch the ears out here and here, to where you can tighten it up. So I want to be sure to spin this around where it catches, where it's supposed to catch. Actually, I need to loosen that up. Hang on, why is that not? Hang on. There. Oh, maybe it was in there. Alright, I forgot there's two sides to it. Okay. There we go. Let me back this out. Okay. Put this where it's supposed to be. There we go. It was right. I just wanted to verify it. Alright, there we go. Now it should just ease back into there. Yeah, there we go. Now I feel better. Okay. There we go. Looks like my piston is still in, so we should be good to go there. Alright. So if this is going to cooperate with me, All we got to do is ease this down and plug her in to each side of the hardware. It should go right up in there. I need to adjust my board. I don't need that far in there. This is the part where my hand's just gonna have to get dirty because I don't want grease all over my pads. So there's one, and here's the other. Make sure my grease is still good, pad's not dirty. Let's ease this into the slot here and here. There we go. Now, in theory, I should just be able to flip this back over and put it right up on to this. Now, shit, I should have got one thing I should have done, and I know better than this. I don't know why I didn't do it. Whenever I put the rotor on there, one thing you want to do is not pull on the car when it's on a jack with no jack stand. That's one. And then second thing, which is first, is just to help you not struggle, put one of these on till you get your brake caliper in, because you need to seat this. See how it went up into a seat? Yeah. You want to seat your rotor, and then if your piston is in far enough, let me find out which way I need to go. You should be able to just line this up on the rotor and work with it like that, and then get you a bolt started on the back side here. When you get them lined up, look at there, and don't forget to tighten these up. That's very important. Let's get that, and the bottom one, which is down here, and they should, if everything's in the right spot, just wiggle and you get it up in there. That's what she said. I mean, what? All right. So there we go. All right. Now, torque specs on this, have not a clue. I bottom these out. As always, what I do is whenever I'm tightening something up, all right, I always go tight and it's quarter turn. That's what I call a quarter turn, snug. These do not have to be torqued down. All right, these are just keepers. Now, you don't want it to fall off either, and I'm sure there is a torque spec for these, but I don't have a torque spec. So tight and a quarter turn. All right, you don't want to over tighten them. Now, if you want to bump them, I like bumping those like that sometimes, and that's all you need. All right, this isn't going to go anywhere. This, I'm sure, has a torque spec, but same thing. Whenever I took it off, I was able to just bump it and pull it back, bust my knuckle on here because I didn't have a glove on, and that's okay. All right, so we're gonna get both of these snugged up. That's just snug. Here's the other one. Snug. All right, come back to this one, and there we go. I feel good with that. That feels like about 30 pounds, maybe 40. There we go. Don't want to over torque it, okay? Because you don't want to round these bolts off. You don't want to break them. They are aluminum. So that's all you need. So there's one. All right. This is crucial, though. Don't forget to put this lug nut. Seat this up where it's supposed to be. Seat this. All right. Just snug, hand tight. And I'm going to leave this alone like this until I get the other side. All right. And that's all you need. All right, so we got our grease in here where it's supposed to be. This is where, you know, that's where our hardware, we're floating like we're supposed to. Okay, give us a slack. This boot is separate from these. These are just hold downs for this actual bracket to the assembly. So you don't have to worry about greasing these up. If you do have a pin that comes all the way out, clean it up, re-grease it with the same grease that you would use for here. All right, and that's all you do. It's all, and this is the copper stuff, so that's the good stuff right there. Way to go, Detroit axle on that right there, not skimping out. And what's different from these brakes and the other ones too is these are actually stamped Detroit axles, so they're actually coming up in the world. I don't know if they make these in-house or not, but it's supposedly, allegedly American made. So I don't know. I'll probably look at the box that says made in China, like everything. And while I'm under here, one thing I did off camera is I was checking this. These are new ends here, but I'm noticing already this boot is already crushed down, and I don't know why. That kind of bothers me. Is it because I didn't fill it with grease or what? I don't like that. I'm gonna actually take a snapshot of this and send that to them and see if they'll replace that. My control arms, it looks like it's good. This bolt is good. Everything else looks good. These are new. Everything under here is new. Even the CV axle. Although you see a tie strap around it. That's because that bitch fell off when that ball joint fell off from underneath. But it's in there. It's not slinging grease, so I'm not worried about it. Struts look good. That's probably what I'm hearing right there. That and that transmission mount I need to change out up there. But yeah, looks like everything is still in place. Alright, looks good. Alright, so I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna get the other side changed out. I gotta hurry up because I gotta work on that box build a little bit today. I want to do a pre-assembly on it and get some footage on that. And I'm doing clothes, etc., so forth. And I slept in because I'm old and weak. Let me knock this out. Hopefully I'll be able to get the other side in the next 30 minutes and everything back assembled and call it a day. I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know if you like these type of videos from me, but I figured I'd share it while I was doing it. 05 Chevy Cobalt. Wow. Full of K. But anyway, Project Defiant continues, keeping her alive since 2005. Just crafted her mind, go out there and have some fun. Woo! I might splice something else in there. I don't know. Have a good one.